Well, that was something, wasn't it? That was very, very interesting. This is probably later than I wanted it to be, but I think I just need a little time to digest what I just saw. Just a little time to think on it, because to be quite honest, I still don't quite know what I've just seen. I'll do my best, as always, try and come to some sort of conclusion, but I really don't know what football is becoming anymore. It's a little bit of a circus. But before I get in to the obvious, which is, of course, firstly the referee, but I do want to touch on the team as well, because you can't just blame the referee for all your problems. Smash like on the video, if you would. It'd really help us out. And subscribe to the channel if you're new, because we want to grow this community. We want to get this thing going again. And if you like what you see, please stick around. But on to the main topic of discussion, the main topic of the game, which it shouldn't be. What should be the takeaway from this game should be, from a neutral's point of view, from a neutral perspective, is another classic, another absolute classic. A 3-3. You couldn't ask for much more as a neutral. It was end to end. Maybe the second half sort of dwindled a little bit, but that first half was unreal. It was an amazing game. It could have been more than it was. It probably should have been more than it was. And I'll get on to, that side for us in a minute, because you have to touch on the performance in a game like that. But the point where I think most of us start, and the point that gets most of the headlines, is the referee. Unfortunately, we don't want to be doing this. We don't want to be coming out after a game like that and blaming the referee. But you can't look past it. You can't simply sit there and ignore the fact that the referee has essentially cost us, or potentially cost us, 2 points. You kind of have to look at it from the point of view where there's no guarantee that Grealish scores that one-on-one. There's no guarantee he may be caught by the defender. He may, fluff his lines. We know that what he is good at and what he's not good at, and what he's not necessarily the best at, is composure in front of goal. He doesn't get you many goals. And he got one today. But the chance that he was essentially denied for no reason. There's no guaranteeing he scores that, but to have that opportunity of that potential to get a winner, especially with the season that Grealish has had, that would be huge for him. He's struggled with injuries. He's been on the bench. He's had a new signing come in and take his place from what was a treble-winning team that he was integral to. He's had this new up-and-coming, new shiny toy come and take his place, and he's been denied a potential. I mean, he thought he scored the winner at 3-2, but he's been denied an opportunity to score what he would have thought would have been the real winner, for no other reason than the referee decided to stop the game, stop the advantage that he played. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know whether you want to go as far as match fixing or what. I mean, if you've seen the video, I've watched it multiple times. He has the whistle. When the foul happens, it's a foul. It is a foul on the halfway line. And he has the whistle in his mouth ready to blow. But then he sees we have the ball still. We still have possession of the ball. So he plays the advantage as he should. And then Haaland plays a ball over the top. Grealish is onside by a mile. He's nowhere close to being offside. The linesman didn't put his flag up. I've seen... I was speaking to one of my mates, and he was saying that he put in the group chat saying, maybe he thought he was offside and he brought back the advantage, because if Grealish is offside, then the advantage gets wiped away. But that's not the referee's job. That's for the linesman to make that decision. The linesman decides whether he's offside or he isn't, and he didn't put his flag up, and he was miles onside. So why he's decided to pull play back for the foul, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't think of any reasonable explanation whatsoever. There is not a single reason that I can think of that's even plausible as to why he should bring that back. And why did he bring that back? I don't know. I really don't know. And I get the players' frustration. I mean, you see the team surrounding the ref, and Pep's in the ear of Anthony Taylor, the fourth official, on the sideline. Realistically, what can you do? You look at the camera pans to Anthony Taylor, and he's To me, he looks surprised that Simon Hooper has decided to bring that back, and he's almost looks like he's thinking in his head, how do I explain this one? How do I explain to Pep Guardiola why the referee has decided not to play the advantage, not to continue with the advantage, even though he's given the advantage and brought the game back? How do I describe to Pep that he hasn't done that? What is the reason? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. And I'm at a lost words, really. I had to process that. I had to process it. I had to wait on it because at the time, emotions running high, it's too hot, and I don't want to come across as, livid, like I'm angry. For me, I think this is worse than Rashford at Old Trafford last season. I do. I really do think it's worse because with Rashford, the Rashford one for me, there was at least an argument. I could see, even though it should have been offside, and they admitted it should have been offside, the argument there was Rashford didn't actually touch the ball. He was interfering with play, so he's still offside, but he didn't touch the ball. So you can see that side of the argument, and then they cleared it up that it should have been offside. With this advantage, there's no plausible reason for him to bring it back. We still have control of the ball. Grealish is not offside. What is there to bring it back for? For me, it's worse, and I really, 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 really don't know where to go with this one. I put a tweet out, which is a good time to plug, actually. You see it on the screen in the description. Follow me, follow you on our social media accounts. But I put a tweet out saying that he should be sacked. He should be sacked. They're not going to do it. But the punishment for denying a team a potential 2 extra points in a title race of this magnitude, a game of this magnitude, denying that opportunity to go on and win the game, and we go and draw the game, I think it's a sackable offence. They won't do it. Because they won't do it. But what I don't want to happen is this situation again, where what happened with Anthony Taylor, where he gets demoted, he gets sent down for a championship match for one game, and we get an apology, and then life just goes on. That's much more likely what's going to happen. Or maybe he gets taken off the next weekend of fixtures. I don't know. They're not going to sack him, but I don't get it. How can you continue with this incompetence? We're calling a spade a spade. If we're being real, it's incompetence. The refereeing standard in this country is dreadful. It's dreadful, and it has been for a while now. And with the introduction of VAR, it's only gotten worse, if anything. I really don't know where they go with this. We have a problem where managers are getting booked and suspended because of what they say about referees, and nobody wants to have a go at the referees. But it happens so often that you can't avoid it. Clubs are making... I know we take the piss out of Arsenal for making statements, but clubs are making statements. And, all we get is an apology, or the referee gets told good process or whatever. Strange. I really don't know where we go from here, but I don't know. I don't know what you think about that. Let me know in the comments if there is any plausible reason, because I do not see one. But yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking. Probably the worst refereeing decision I'll see all season. But I want to move on. I want to get past it, because at the end of the day, football, it just happens. Sometimes you're going to move on. There's nothing we can do about it now, apart from just take our medicine, just lick our wounds and go again. I mean, where to start? I mean, it was an absolute disaster from start to finish. Really. I mean, the first half, we're 2-1 up, but Rodri gets a booking. He's suspended for Aston Villa away, which is... it's just... I want to say not ideal, but it's worse than that. It's really worse than that. I'm struggling to have a positive outlook on that Aston Villa game now that Rodri's suspended, because, I mean, he got his 3-game suspension earlier on in the season. We lost all 3 games. So I really don't have too many high hopes. And, I mean, if you look at the replacements, Calvin Phillips is just not it. He'll be gone soon because he just hasn't lived up to the standard, which is... nothing personal on him or anything. The standard here is incredibly high. He just hasn't made the selection. And then you look at Kovacic is just coming back from injury. You've got Nunes just coming back from injury. It's difficult. It's really difficult to have a positive outlook on the game. And then Jack Grealish as well. He's also suspended for kicking the ball away, which he made it up with the goal and should have made it up with what should have been the winner. I don't want to dwell on it for too long, but it's petulant. It's really stupid. You know, the referees have come out with this initiative of, if you kick the ball, once the whistle's been blown, if you kick the ball away, it's a yellow card. The whistle's gone. He's megged someone, kicked the ball away and got a yellow card, and now he's suspended. And I don't know any update on Jeremy Doku. He went off pretty early in the second half. It looked like he was holding his hamstring. If Jeremy Doku is injured and Grealish is suspended and Rodri is suspended and John Stones isn't fit enough to, play, I think that if we're going to risk John Stones, it will be against Aston Villa, because we kind of need to. But you're looking at that and going, on an already stretched thin squad, it's looking difficult, and it only gets worse from here because the games pile up. You've got a Club World Cup coming up. How do we manage this? We've got to try the best as we can. I suppose that once this game against Villa is over, Rodri won't have that threshold. I think the next threshold is 10, so I'll have another 5 yellow cards to go. But yeah, it's really not looking good. That's why it was a disaster from start to finish, because you go 2-1 up and then it all just spirals. The Rodri yellow card, the second Spurs equaliser, the Grealish yellow card, Doku might be injured, and then what happened at the end is nothing short of a joke, really. Really, plain and simply, just a joke. I mean, Haaland was up in arms. He was livid, being dragged away from by his teammates, and I think Pep was coming over as well. And I understand it, because it's a high emotion game, and he feels that we've been robbed, and we have. And I sympathise with him, because he himself didn't have his best of games, but he feels that we've been cheated. And I feel a similar way. But again, I don't like to blame the referees for why we lose, because I like to look at the bigger picture of, were we good enough? And the answer is simply no. We can't be allowing ourselves to be in this position where we're dropping points because we're allowing the referees to make a decision. If we're good enough on the day, then we win games regardless of what the referee does. The referee can be poor, but if we're good enough, it doesn't matter. And we're not good enough at the moment. And this is becoming a problem. We have problems at both ends of the pitch, in my opinion. I think we're not taking our chances at all. We are not clinical enough. Haaland had an absolute sitter at 1-1. Doku hit the bar onto the post at 1-1. Yeah, we're missing easy chances. Really, really should have been out of sight in that game. Like I said before, we shouldn't be in the position where that refereeing decision is being talked about, because we should have put the game to bed. The game should have been over. We should have been clear by the time that happened. And then we've got a problem at the other end of the pitch defensively. We can't seem to sort ourselves out. We seem to get cut open all the time. I mean, you look at the first goal. I want to highlight the first goal. I think the first goal is 50-50 play. I might blame half of it on Doku, and half of it I think Edison could do a little bit better on the shot. But Doku, he's tracking Son on the counter-attack from our corner. It's our corner. We've just had an attacking corner. Doku is tracking Son, and he just half gives up. He half gives up. Son runs in. 1-0. It's not good enough. It's not good enough from Doku. He needs to learn that side of the game. That side of the game that Jack Grealish has. Doku has to learn how to do that. Doku has to learn how to help out defensively, be more switched on. We saw it West Ham away. 1-0 down because Doku loses the ball and then come back. Wolves, again, 1-0 down, Wolves away because Doku doesn't track back. He needs to start doing that. He's been on such good form as of recent and arguably undroppable. But he needs to learn. He needs to have discipline in his game. So that's the first goal. Second goal, I'm not really sure there's too much to play. To be honest, it's a blur because of the stuff that happened at the end. It was a good finish. I don't really think Edison could do too much better with that one. It's in off the post. And then the third goal is, I think Ake should be doing much better when he comes on. I said in the preview I'd start him because he's, that little 45-minute cameo against Leipzig was better than, Diaz and Akanji on the night. But, Ake gets brought on and he's beaten. He's beaten in the box, in the air, by a winger. Not good enough. He can't be getting beat like that. He has to go up with authority and win that header. And of course, that header comes off the bar. I don't think there's much Edison can do about that either. It's perfectly placed. So yeah, a really, really, really poor showing. Kind of highlights our issues a little bit. Pep said in his pre-match press conference that he needs to find a solution for conceding goals. We've conceded 10 in our last 4. For a side that won a treble with not conceding more than 1 a game at most, to concede 10 goals in 4 games is abysmal. It's shocking. It's shocking. It has to change. If you take out the Liverpool game, I know it's sort of in the middle, so you can't really, but if you take out the Liverpool game, which I think is the odd one out in terms of I don't think we defended poorly against Liverpool, if you take that one out, it's 9 goals conceded in 3 games for poor defending. And the worst part about that 10 in 4 is 3 of those games have been at home. 3 of those games have been at home. 6 goals conceded in our last 3 home games. It's not good enough. Not good enough. Need to be better on the defensive side. Pep needs to change personnel, I think. I said it in the preview. I'd change personnel. I'd go with Rico Lewis. Just to give us a bit more control in the midfield, because I feel that it's so lacking with Alvarez in there. He's not really a control player. Rodri looks isolated on his own because Akanji's not the best at that Stones role, and when it's Walker pushing on, I don't think Bernardo helps him too much because he's trying to focus on getting more towards the box. So yeah, I think he needs to change the personnel, because the common theme here is in these last 4 games where we've conceded 10 goals, it's been the same back line, and we're having problems with it, and Pep says he needs to find a solution. Well, the only solution I can think of, because he's tried tactical solutions of Walker pushing on and Akanji pushing on and, swapping them about. But the only other solution is to change personnel. And if he doesn't do that against Villa, if we go on Wednesday night to Villa Park and he goes with the same back 4 that he has done for the last 4 games, I don't know what I'll think. I really don't know what I'll think. I think my head will be in my hands. I'll be up in arms. He can't preach about finding a solution and then stick with what clearly isn't working. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. That's what we're doing right now. It's insanity. We're playing the same players that aren't working and expecting it to just click. And it's not clicking. So he needs to find something to change that. Again, I would play Rico Lewis. He came on today. I thought he did all right. He didn't really have too much of an impact on the game because the game kind of quietened down. But you've seen when he started in the Champions League, he's a massive, massive impact. For me, going forward, if you're not going to play John Stones, you have to play Rico Lewis. Even if you are going to play John Stones, Rico Lewis might not be a bad option either. Because if I'm thinking, no, Rodri, if Stones is going to play, Stones might play where Rodri does. Stones might play as a holding midfielder, so you're going to need someone else to invert. Why not Rico Lewis? Why not try that against Villa? Clearly something isn't working, so there's no harm in trying something, because that's what we want to see. We want to see something else, because what we're doing right now is not working. And I think that's just the main point is yesterday when you're watching this, just highlight our problems, really. Not clinical enough in front of goal. Too easy to open up at the back. And less said about the refereeing, the better. That's all from me. Maybe a little bit longer than I anticipated, but so much happened. There were 6 goals. I mean, the refereeing thing could be a video on its own, really. But at the end of the day, my main takeaway is, regardless of officiating, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We've had 3 draws in a row in the Premier League now, and we've just had 2 players suspended for an away game at Aston Villa who are flying at the moment. So it doesn't look good at the moment. It really doesn't, but you have to stay positive. I back the team. I back Pep to get this right. This part of the season is the part of the season where it's all about staying in the race. It's not necessarily about winning it now, because you can't win it now. Ask Liverpool and Arsenal. You can be clear by 10 points and not win the league. So it's all about staying in the race, which we're still in it. But for how long, if we continue like this, I do not know. That's it from me. If you would, again, like the video, if you liked the video, let me know what you think in the comments of my opinions, the referee, the game, any player performances. I didn't really go too much into individual players, but just general team stuff. And subscribe if you're new. I don't have a target, but trying to grow the community as big as I possibly can. And I'll see you for an Aston Villa preview with hopefully more positive energy than this.